welcome to another episode of Home Sweet Home. My name is Rod McCall.
And I'm Scott Nichols.
What the heck is going on with you today?
Oh, just a beautiful day after a bunch of rain.
Oh my gosh, I'm starting to feel like I need to build a boat. I mean, good Lord.
Yeah, well, for approaching a dry season here in Texas, it sure is awfully wet.
Well, we started April, and it's been raining for going on 2 months straight.
It's just been crazy.
I mean, you're right. We're going to hit a dry spell, and then it's kind of like, where'd all the rain go? But I kind of wish they would find a way to kind of spread it out,
Sure.
Rain, wait 4, 5, 6 days, then rain a day.
When I lived in Florida, this would be the wet season, and it's been nothing but 100 degrees and dry there. Like they haven't really even been getting any rain. So
wow,
it's kind of flipped. It's a little bit strange.
Well, like I say, it's been. I'm starting to get a little waterlogged.
Yeah.
Well,
so it's summertime, and we are out of our normal jobs as teachers for the summer. Even though we always do professional development and all kinds of things to try to get ready again for August, but we do have a little bit of time to relax and stuff. So that's been kind of nice, except for the rain.
Yes, it has. I like being able to sleep past my 5:30 normal wake up. It's been very enjoyable, I will say.
So but what do we want to talk about today?
Well, as you know, my mother-in-law is not doing real well.
Yeah.
And hasn't been doing real well. She lives with us and hasn't been doing well for a while. And so my wife and her sister and her brother are constantly over at the house trying to platoon, providing assistance and care to help take care of her. So
right.
As a result, my nieces and nephews hang out at our house a lot more than usual. And so I'm trying to be a good uncle and, come home of an afternoon. They've been there, asking them, hey, how's your day been? Trying to think of, when I was growing up, I come home from school, my mom would always ask, well, how was your day?
Right.
And, well, I think they're giving me the exact same kind of response that I gave my mother.
No.
I know, surprise, surprise. And it was kind of like, well, how was your day? Okay. Did you do anything fun? No.
Right.
And so I'm getting a lot of one-word answers, and trying to ferret out any information has been pretty challenging. And so anyway, I have been trying a little more of a different approach. And I would ask him, all right, well, what was a fun thing that happened at school today? And my older nephew, he'll go, the day ended. And my younger nephew, a lot of times he'll provide a little something. Well, we did this at recess, or we played, this game in gym class, something like. I'll get a little bit more out of him.
Sure.
But I got thinking, how can I get more? And with my training to be a therapist, they're pushing, a lot of how to ask more open-ended questions.
Right.
And we do that in the classroom.
Yes.
We ask a lot of open-ended questions. And so it got me thinking, well, how many times do parents have the same kind of dilemma that I do with my nephews as far as asking them about how their day was? I'm assuming you asked your kids growing up, when they came home from school, so how was school today?
Sure.
And did they give you the same kind of responses that my nephews are giving?
Of course.
And so, and that's why I thought that this might be an interesting topic, because I ran across something, and a lawyer was saying, look, when I am questioning people up on the stand, I'm going to ask a question that I know the answer to.
Right.
And he said, you've got to be careful in how you ask your questions. And so that really got me thinking. And I thought, well, okay, why not try and use the type of strategies that we use here in the classroom when trying to visit with our kids to ferret out information, and not just about the school day, but what's going on with them, with their life. Because I think teenagers, preteens, adolescents of pretty much all the spectrum will not want to talk to mom and dad a lot.
Right.
And so, but yet as parents, that's what we want. We want to know. We want to be involved.
Yes.
Try and head off any issues at the past before they come full blown tragedies. And so I thought, well, how can we ask questions of our kids to ferret out more information than one word or 2 word responses?
That's a good question.
Okay. So how about this? The idea is that if you ask a good question, it can lead to a good conversation.
Yes.
Because I do that a lot. I know you do this because I've sat in on some of your classes and have had your kids in my homeroom. Asking the right kinds of questions can lead to, again, very interesting and rewarding conversations.
Yeah.
So it's real simple, but it's the who, the what, the where, the why, the when, the how.
Yes.
Using those starting words can be beneficial. So you can start with something like, what happened today? Why are you, and start with, well, what? A very fundamental, very basic, but what? What happened? Well, what else can you tell me?
Sure.
What can I do to make it better? Because, one of the issues that teens have is relationship problems, relationship with boyfriends, girlfriends, just their run-of-the-mill gang friends. And so starting with what?
Yeah, I mean, I think that definitely something happened, right? No matter how great or how small, something happened. They're probably sharing it with people on TikTok or, one of those social media outlets, or texting with somebody else. I mean, there's no reason they can't share some of that with the parents, right? I think providing an environment to do that as well, and maybe even prefacing that with something that happened in your life today, right?
Oh, good idea.
Letting them know, this is an exchange. It's not just I'm investigating you.
An interrogation.
Trying to find out what you did wrong today, or what happened to you, so that I can, get on you or somebody else about it, right? You don't want to just come off as some kind of authoritarian figure that's trying to investigate their life and bring on some kind of punitive punishment for something.
Sure.
Right? So sharing something about your day, right? This is what used to happen at people's dinner tables, right?
True.
You sit down for a dinner and find out what happened in everybody's life that day.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that's kind of missing from today's families mostly.
Yeah.
I mean, even my wife and I, we don't have children at home anymore, but we still attempt, more often than not, I guess, to sit down at the table and just eat together without a television or without phones or without stuff, right? So we can find out what happened in your day, and take an interest in each other's things that are going on in our lives. And I think that, prefacing the question to the teenager or the child, or even your partner, with something that happened in your life, right, before you go investigate their life.
Sure. No, that's actually a really clever idea. Because, the kids have big emotions. I mean, at least for them, it's big emotion. And so when, they come in and you can see they plop down and you can tell, well, that's kind of a unhappy plop.
Right.
Or, well, hey, they came in a little bouncy, a little more talkative. That means then they're in a pretty good mood. Something good must have happened.
Sure.
And so starting out with a what, and if that what begins with, let me tell you about what happened to me today. I want to share with you.
Right.
And share something positive, and then it's kind of like, well, what happened with you today? Tell me something, what was a good thing that happened for you?
Hmm.
And so, no, that's actually really good. And I think it can help begin this conversation, which then brings us to the why. Well, then you can explore a little bit as they start with the what happened. All right. Then, well, okay, especially if it's a negative, well, why do you feel this way? Why do you feel angry? Why do you feel upset?
Right.
Why do you feel betrayed?
And I think that's important too, right? Like you talked about the positive, sharing the positive, which is obviously something you want to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
Find something positive in your day, even if it was, I got up this morning and I made my bed.
Mm-hmm.
And that might have been the last positive thing I did, but it was or my last positive experience for the day, but at least that was positive, right?
Sure.
And then I struggled the rest of the day, but like, don't hide from your kids. I mean, obviously you want to be careful based on their age, how detailed you get with a negative, but, and you don't want to get into like certain topics probably, but if there's something negative that happened today, somebody really got on your nerves, right?
Sure.
And it's important to share that because they need to know, how did you deal with it? Right? I mean, that's what were your coping skills for dealing with that issue? You don't have to go full detail on it, and you shouldn't expect them to necessarily go full detail on theirs, but getting some kind of information and putting it out there for yourself, letting them know you've got positive things happening, you've got negative things happening. Don't just make it look like it's some kind of utopia in your life.
And I think that's really good, because you're right. Age appropriate is correct, but if you can say, well, this is why I felt this way. Why do you feel this way?
Right.
Why is it so troubling for you? Well, why do you think they might have done what they did? Well, why do you think you reacted this way?
Or how did you deal with that in the moment? What were you thinking about that later? What do you think about it now?
Sure. And that getting them to explain the why allows them to explore for themselves, to kind of go beyond and kind of focus on, dig deeper into their own reactions, their own response, and kind of ferret out their why.
There's a reflection that needs to take place as we go through these moments through our day, right? We need to be able to reflect on them and see, what was our reaction and how do we deal with it better next time? And how do we make it so that everything's not completely personal, right? Just because somebody you have an interaction with somebody that's positive or negative, it's not necessarily about you.
Sure.
Right? It's not necessarily a reflection on you or some kind of thing that you need to take personally. It might be more about them and the struggles that they're having. And so you want to be careful not to take them personally, but that takes some reflection, right? It takes some processing to make sure, oh, you know what? That's probably not something that's about me, or they're not like talking about me. It's an issue that they're having in their life, and however you deal with that, whether you approach it with them or you're a prayerful kind of a person, or, you write them a nice note or something is one thing, but, how do you deal with it? What do you do? And teaching that to your kids and practicing that same stuff with your partner is super important.
I think you mentioned something about it's not always about you. Sometimes when we're involved in an interaction with someone, it's hard not to think that it is about you.
Sure.
And being able to, as you said, reflect back on, well, why? Why do you feel this way? Well, why do you think they said or reacted the way they did?
Right.
Allows that introspection to maybe see that it is not about you, your reaction, but enabling you to explore that maybe there's other options that you hadn't considered.
Sure.
So I again, the idea of what to get started, Well, why? Let's explore that. But the next thing that came up was timing.
Mm.
Timing is critical, and I am not good at timing. In fact, my timing seems to be off more than it's on. Knowing when to let it go and when to press home. I've gotten better. I've
Yes.
gotten a lot better at figuring myself out and getting
That's the
a
reflection
grasp.
piece, right?
Yeah, well, yes. But when I get a hold of me,
Right.
then I can begin to explore the when. And so when visiting with your children or your significant other or your friends, whatever the case might be, start exploring first within yourself, but also having them explore when did you build that timeline? When did you first notice that there was a problem? When did you first start feeling this way?
Right.
We recently went on vacation and I was having we had a lot of family time.
Yeah.
And family time can be both a blessing and a challenge.
Sure.
And it rose up and surprised me that I was having a little too much family time. And it took me a little bit to figure, I had to do some of this, the what, the why, and then get to the when. And once I got through that, then it worked. Everything went back to normal.
Mm-hmm.
But having the opportunity and getting someone to dig a little deeper into, because nothing happens in a bubble.
Right.
Our emotions, our reactions, our responses to anything is never just this thing. It's something that's always been building.
Right.
And so when you're visiting with, someone having these kinds of conversations, having them explore that timeline can help process the event.
So here's what I'm thinking about that, right? Because you're talking about what I think is just about self, right?
Okay.
I mean, I've observed people. I lived in the Orlando area, or somewhere around there, for almost 14 years, and,
oh, wow.
And so I've been to Disney World thousands of times,
mm-hmm.
right? I would go there 3, 4, 5 times a week, and you would inevitably see families on vacation,
mm-hmm.
right? And what they would be doing is, at the time, it's probably more money now, but at the time you're thinking, they've spent at least 10 grand, maybe 15 grand to be there for a week. And they are the most miserable people you've ever seen in your life, right? Because every one of them wants to do something, and it never seems to be the same thing that the other ones want to do at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but the thing about that is that we are, as human beings, right, focused on self so much, right? And so, and that's why I think that's why we internalize a lot of things. I mean, you're the counselor, so you would know better, but I just feel like that's why we internalize a lot of things and make it into, it's about me and I should take offense or whatever to what people are doing, when really the other person is just focusing on them.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's just the way, like, whole religions have been designed around, don't think about yourself, think about others, right?
Sure.
I mean, you can find it in Christianity and Islam and all kinds of other places, right?
Sure.
It's all about somebody else, and oftentimes, obviously, about a divine being. But you have this issue of, apparently, humans have always just thought of themselves, right? We don't think about the other people in our lives, and so that kind of reflection, right, is really important to say, well, wait a minute, right? Like, I know that my tendency is to think about me.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what? Nobody else is thinking about me because they're thinking about themselves, right? So we need that reflection to say, it's really not about me.
Sure.
It's about them. And then the more that you can reach out and think about the other, whether it's your kids or your partner or whatever,
mm-hmm.
that the more likely it is that they're going to think about you. and start considering their actions towards you, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it actually has to start with us.
And
It has to
that's
start with ourselves.
no, and you're not you're correct. You're not wrong on any of that. And when you start talking about the win,
Right.
by using that as a focal point of conversation, it allows you to start separating emotion from fact.
Yes.
And then you can see, well, maybe you're not as, how do you want to say this? The facts don't support the emotion.
Sure.
When
And so
you,
often they don't.
well, that is true. And that's what I discovered was that the facts didn't, when we were on vacation, what I was feeling didn't really match with the facts.
Right.
And when given the opportunity to separate fact from fancy, you're able to, put things in a different perspective,
Mm-hmm.
and it allows you to process kind of what you're feeling and why you're feeling it.
Right.
And so that's why being able to talk about the when, so you got the what, you got the why, but now adding the when into this conversation, you're able to organize your pattern of behavior that has led to the feelings that you now have. Positive, negative, happy, sad, whatever it might be. And so again, a lot of this is logical.
Yeah.
But do we think about this very often when trying to have these conversations with the people that we care about?
I think I want to add that there's sometimes the when, I think, is never.
What do you mean?
So, for instance, my reaction to my daughter for the dishwasher, the infamous dishwasher situation, that should have been a never.
Okay.
I never should have reacted to that. That should have been a reflection on, me reflecting and saying, well, at the time, there isn't a time to talk about this. That I'm completely wrong.
Okay.
Right. And now that I've done it, the when would be immediately, as quickly as possible, for me to get over it and apologize to my daughter.
Sure.
Right. For that situation. So, but I mean, I think that sometimes you need to let the other person kind of process. And so, that when is, let me back off, and it'll either be later or never. Maybe that person will go and process and come back to you.
Okay.
And say something, right? But if you're jumping on it all the time, like if your kid comes in and you're asking them, well, what happened today? And they're like, yes. And you're like, well, but that's not an answer. And they're like, well, I don't want to talk about it. Right? Maybe you just want to let them not talk about it for a little while. Sure. And then ask them later, I know that you were really bothered by something that was taking place. I'd like to just talk about it with you. Here's something that happened in my day, that wasn't great.
Yeah.
But, this is how I deal with it. And I just wonder what was happening in your day.
Sure.
And, kind of wait a little while. Let them process. Let them figure some things out. I mean, don't let it go forever. But
sure.
Maybe they just maybe they're reflecting.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they've learned that and they're actually reflecting and can come to some resolution on their own, and we'll share that with you later.
Mm-hmm. So, no, I mean, timing is
important.
But when you're dealing with the when, timing is not just the time you start the conversation, but allowing you also to use the infamous dishwashing incident.
Yeah.
When you blew up on your daughter, that wasn't the first time you noticed a dishwashing strategy different than what you would have done. And the when you start to explore that, allows you to focus, well, when did you first notice this?
See, but I mean, even that incident, right, that comes back to self, right? Like, I have my way of doing it. And if you don't do it my way, you're wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And that's a flaw for me. Because, you know what, there's lots of ways to load the dishwasher.
Yeah.
So, and it's not a big deal. Right?
Sure.
Like, that's not a life-altering kind of experience there. It really doesn't matter, as long as they get clean.
At the end of the day, that is correct. And that is where it's kind of interesting because in our conversation, the next issue is, all right, how? Okay. And the how is where you begin to focus on how did you get to this level of frustration that you feel?
Right.
How'd they go about doing what they did to you? Again, exploring a lot deeper, but forcing an explanation into the series of events that led to the cataclysm of the happiness or the sadness, the explosion, whatever it might have been that created the emotional response that started the conversation.
Yes.
But again, the how can give you an opportunity to kind of tied in with the when, begin to build that process of events.
Right.
The step by step, how did this happen? And it allows you to kind of focus on not just your response, but their response to what you did as well.
Right.
Because again, everything, it builds. It's not to repeat myself, though I do that a lot. It didn't just suddenly happen.
Exactly.
And so, because when I blow up, and I'm sorry to say that does happen a lot.
I wouldn't say a lot.
Okay, well, thank you. But when it does happen, it builds. And yeah, I may blow up on you, but it wasn't you that started it. It was something that may have started days before.
See, and that goes back to that thought of about self, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you blow up on me, I need to realize that you're having an issue in your life. It's not really about me.
Uh-huh.
Right?
Uh-huh.
Now, I might have done something that precipitated that you to go over the edge, right, on that.
Yeah.
But it's really not necessarily me. It's something you're dealing with that needs your attention and maybe my attention, but especially if it's a partner, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that's the issue, right? We have things that self is going through.
Sure.
And the other person has things that they're going through. And we need to understand, like your whole profession of counseling is based on this, right?
Sure.
That and that you would have people sit down and talk, right? Talking is the reflecting part, right? It's saying the words and hearing them so that you can, reflect on it and think about how you might do things better or, cope with things in the future or any of those things. I mean, I've been to psychiatry before, as a young child, actually. And that was all we did. We sit and talked. As a kid, we played games and we talked and it was about hearing what you're saying. I mean, ultimately, and reflecting on that.
No, and you're correct. And when you're talking with your children, it is very important to be able to do this because I know my parents did this to me. All right, especially my mom. She was very, very good at this, and it helped me develop coping skills.
Yeah.
It helped me develop the necessary resilience to handle the issues that come they come the way of any person, any child. And when you can do this, well, now you're becoming a bit stronger emotionally.
Right.
And you can handle better situations moving forward. And so that's kind of when I like the what, the who, the when. Actually, the what, the why, the when, the how, and then the who.
Mm-hmm.
All right, because the who is understanding all the players.
Yes.
Who was involved? Who is really responsible for the situation? All right. Who needs an apology?
Right.
Who needs to forgive? And this was something that my mom and dad really hammered into me and my sisters. Shake hands.
Yeah.
Go apologize and forgive.
Another one of those things that is, built into every religion, right, is this idea of forgiveness, right? Because it takes that weight off of you. If you can let it go and forgive the other person, whether you do it by vocally forgiving them or whether you do it in private, that you need to get the weight off you. Now, it's nice if you can go to them so that they can feel the weight come off of them.
Sure.
But even if you can't do that immediately, like, you should just forgive them in and of yourself, right? So that you're not having that issue. I mean, I see this, as something in the classroom, right?
Yeah.
We would have issues with students. Students would do something, silly or just plain stupid.
Yeah.
Right. And so they would get in trouble, right? I would write them up. I haven't had to do that in years, but I would write a student up. They would have to, go see the administration, and they would have to probably get some kind of big punishment, right?
Yeah.
And whatever the next day was that they came back to the classroom, it's over for me.
Yes.
I'm done, right?
Yes.
Like, whatever happened before is finished. I'm not going to hold that against the kid. I'm not going to, you're forgiven for that in my classroom, and I'm just going to let you proceed as though that never happened.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm over here like a bobblehead.
And so that's something that I think is important, right? In any relationship, whether it's teacher, student, parent, child, partner to partner, whatever that may be, you've got to let things go. You got to forgive and move on, and let that person, continue from a place of freedom, right, from that offense. And I think that's super important in all relationships.
I totally, completely, 1000% agree. And the key is, again, forgiving, saying that you're sorry, meaning it, and forgiving, moving forward. Because that brings us to when you can get there. If you can do the what, the why, the where, the when, or the who. Well, I guess not the where, because the where it'd be your last one.
Yeah.
Because the next step is, where do we go from here?
Right.
I mean, because that's the next. That ultimately is, where do we go?
Yeah.
Where, and I like that as a way to move forward. Because now, when you've gone through the other 5, ending with where allows you to move forward in a more positive way. And if you're visiting with your children, well, now you're allowing them to develop a plan of, when this happens again, it's not an if, it is a when.
Yeah.
What would be a better way to respond? What would be a better way to handle this? And the thing that I liked most when my parents would do this with me, I've tried this a little with Eric when he was little. I haven't had too many issues with my stepkids, and I haven't had any kinds of issues come up that this would be necessary with my nephews. But I've done this with plenty of my kids. Just like you, same kind of thing. You have a blow up, and we go through some of these steps to process this, and where do we go from here?
Right.
It's over.
Yeah.
It is over. And in my mind, it's done. It's in the past. And how do we move forward?
And you need to not bring it up again.
No.
Right. It needs to really be forgotten. So, and if you're trying to bring it up again, then you're not really done with it.
No.
And so you need to reflect some more. I mean, this is super talking, right? Talking is super important. People are like, why are my kids they don't talk. Well, have you prompted them to? Right?
Yep.
Have you tried to get in a conversation with them? Have you shared something about your life? I mean, I think that's really important. My wife and I have been together for 33 years, 32 years married. We are still experiencing those times where, we don't communicate well on some things. And we just keep stressing, like, really the important thing is to talk about it. My wife is often like, well, I don't want to hurt your feelings. I'm like, well, you're really not gonna, like, I've been with you for 32 years. I'm not leaving based on whatever you're about to say. So, like, just say it, right? Let's reflect on it. Let's talk about it. Let's move on. And so, we do that, and I've gotten to the point where I don't feel like everything's necessarily about me. So, not that none of it is, right? Obviously, some of it is, but things that I need to deal with. But it's not like I don't have to take it as an emotional kind of a hit, right? And get all angry about it. It becomes more of a what can I do to be better?
And that is the key: building resilience in your individual relationships with your partners, your children, your coworkers, your friends. And there's conflict always is there, but being able to talk constructively about it, especially with your kids at a time where, historically, teenagers always pull away from parents, and now with social media platforms, they're even more disconnected than ever before. Our children are suffering from a wide variety of mental health issues, most of it because they cannot deal with conflict resolution very well. Here is a way that we as adults, we as parents, can help build in our own children the skills necessary to help them be more productive in their daily life.
Well, I got to say, as we run out of time here, I just think this has been really reflective and kind of cathartic for me, right? To think about what am I doing that I could do better?
Yeah, well,
right. I think that's been great.
Well, I enjoyed talking about this. This was something that, like I say, that has been an issue. Been wanting to find ways to get better at, and so I can tell you that I will be employing this old workable strategy in my own life.
Yeah, I think we should follow this up in the future with how has this worked for us?
Okay.
So maybe we can do that.
All right, sounds good.
But for now,
that's it.
That's all we got.
All right. Well, then until next time, I'm Rod.
I'm Scott.